Discuss slavery in Kentucky before the Civil War. Be specific in terms of people, places, etc. Though the state of Kentucky did have slaves, the economy never relied on slave labor. Most farms in Kentucky were smaller in size, with fewer workers than that of other states. For example, Alabama or Georgia. By the 1830s, most places in Kentucky that owned and used slaves worked with hemp, cattle, and bourbon because those were most profitable at the time. Before the 1830s, these slaves were used on hemp and tobacco farms. In 1860, around 66% of the farms in the state were under 100 acres. Although most towns had a specific place for auctioning, Lexington was the main slave trade hub for Kentucky. Some slave traders were Silas Marshall, Lewis Roberts, and William Pullman. The state's largest slave trader was Lewis Roberts until he went bankrupt in the 1850s. The greatest cluster of enslaved people was in Woodford County. 50% of their overall population were enslaved people. In 1838, a Warren County judge ruled that slaves, human beings with like passions, sympathies, and affections with ourselves. Even though this was said, slave owners still had total control over the slaves in the state of Kentucky. Many slaves were treated harshly, and some even gruesomely murdered. One instance of a slave being murdered took place in Livingston County in 1811, when the Lewis brothers killed and butchered a slave by the name of George. The brothers were tried, but nothing was to come of that, because one committed suicide while the other escaped. Though it has been seen that slave owners treated their slaves milder than those in other states, slaves were still treated terribly within the state. My sources are Clauder James C. and Craig Thompson, Friend, A New History of Kentucky, 2nd edition, The University Press of Kentucky, 2018.